Welcome to my award-winning podcast, Brilliant Brains and Beautiful Minds. I'm your host, Melanie Bernicle. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we've got a couple of special episodes headed your way. My first guest is a businesswoman, a friend, and breast cancer survivor. Please welcome Lisa Poulos. Da, da, da. She needs a drum roll. Welcome to our show, Lisa.
Thank you, Mel. It's exciting doing this with you.
Oh, I know. Lisa and I have had a working relationship for
Many years.
probably over 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
We're newbies in our industry. I've had the pleasure of working together on so many occasions and hearing parts of your story. This is a really nice way, I think, to open up for Breast Cancer Awareness Month and talk about where you've gone, where you're going, and what's next.
Yeah, great.
All right.
Let's do it.
Excellent. So for everyone out there, Lise, can you just kind of recap for me, your journey with breast cancer from the beginning?
Okay, it's a long one, so I'll try and do it really short because I don't want to bore people.
Hang on, her and I are having a short conversation.
It's but I'll try. But basically in 2007, actually was before that, I actually had a scan, and normal, breast cancer scan came back clear, but the problem was I had a lump in my breast, and so it was always in the back of my head when they said it was clear that I had a lump. I let it go till about March, and then in March I had a car accident, and that car accident caused my ribs to break. And when my ribs broke, what they did was they actually pushed one of the tumours. I had 3 tumours in. They pushed one of the tumours onto a nerve, so it really started hurting. So I kept going back saying, hey, there still feels like there's something wrong. I didn't know it was breast cancer. I didn't know what it was. I just knew I had pain.
So they let you out of the hospital with broken ribs.
Yeah.
And
stuff.
And you went home.
I went home. And then I just persisted, and I'm a tenacious person, as you know, and I just knew something was wrong. I knew I wasn't feeling great. I knew, and interestingly, I was doing some work for the Ralph Lauren Pink Pony campaign. So I was in the middle of a major breast cancer awareness campaign, which was quite ironic, really. And I was dealing with the head of the Breast Cancer Association. So, and I kept asking her questions, and I never thought, I've got no history of breast cancer in my family. There's actually, no history of any cancer that I know of. Anyway, so I just kept persisting. And I went back to the doctor and I said, this still doesn't feel right. Cut a long story short, it took 4 more scans and me asking to see a breast cancer specialist. And when I went to see him, he said to me that I'd be wasting their time to do a biopsy, because I sort of went in and said, I want a biopsy. And they told me it was a waste of their time and my time. And I just said, well, just amuse me and do it.
Not a waste of the time because they thought that you had it.
No,
the waste of their time because they thought you didn't have it.
Yeah, no, because they could see on the scans that there was nothing wrong with me, that, for all intents and purposes, my bloods were looking good, that I looked healthy. And I think they thought that there was something wrong with my head, to be honest with you. Anyway.
I've never thought that about you.
No, well, anyway. It took them about 3 weeks to come back to me because I think they were so shocked at what they found. There wasn't just 1 tumour, there was 3. They were really high-graded tumours, and I literally was told that I had a major battle. So I went from there's nothing wrong with you to you're one sick girl. And then it was a very, very long battle from there on. I had bilateral mastectomy, I had a very extended course of chemotherapy, and then I had a huge recovery, which has been a very, very long period of a lot of damage from the chemo that I've had to recover from.
So when you started your treatment, was this still 2007 or moving into 2008?
It was 2008.
It was 2008.
Yeah.
And so with you, Lisa, as well, how long did your chemo and your main treatments go on for?
So the chemo was probably a year and a bit, and then you have to go on oral chemo,
right?
Which then caused 2 further surgeries because they caused internal bleeding. And so I had some pretty extraordinary situations. It was one surgery after another, after another, after another. I was asked to do radiation for another, I think it was 7 months, some ridiculous amount of time. And by that point, I decided that if I was going to survive this, I had to take charge of my own health, and that I felt that my body couldn't do any more than take any more abuse from the medical system, which is a really big call. And there was really a percentage of how the radiation was going to help me, and I didn't feel it was high enough to go through the trauma. I felt like I needed to just do things my way from then on.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I'm still here to tell the story. So I think I didn't make any big mistakes in making that decision.
I think, everything's so personal. Oh, we've got a little friend joining us.
This is Pippa.
Hi, Pippa. We're not going to say no to an extra one.
No, we like an extra on set.
You're not paying attention to COVID rules and regulations, but we'll forgive you. So that's a couple of years within itself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You had the double mastectomy, and we're in, 2020 now, so that's 12 years ago when you started. And we've been having conversations sort of where we're at now and what's been going on for you for the last few years. Like, do you find, yes, that the initial trauma was, a lot going on and you've had a lot of support, but do you find that people don't realise that you need further support going on up until now?
I think it's a long journey, and it's really hard for people. It's a journey of misery. Like, that's all it is. It's a miserable journey. And I've got a girlfriend that I'm going through with it at this moment. She's been really, really sick. And even she's recognised that there's a lot of people there at the beginning, but then they slowly, and it's actually quite normal that people get back to their own lives. Yeah. It's really understandable. And, at the end of the day, like everything in our lives, I think it's really important you take charge and you have to take yourself through that journey. And it's a difficult journey.
Yeah.
I mean, I had, after the mastectomy and all the treatment was over, then you've got to think about reconstruction. And that's another, at least a year, because within a reconstruction, there's 3 surgeries.
So you have to wait till you're in full health.
Not
before
everyone,
you, okay.
Depending on the doctor, some people reconstruct straight away. But I was so sick that survival was my main goal.
Yeah.
And you really don't care about having breasts at that point because they're not your friends.
Yeah.
But once you've got through the treatment, you think, oh God, I'm going to live. I don't want to live life without breasts. And so, that became then a focus for me. And I had the reconstruction, I can't remember what year, but it was quite a few years later. And that then, as I said, was 3 surgeries. So it's a really big deal. It really is. Moving forward to now, 2 years ago, I had a trip to, maybe it was 3 years ago, I had a trip to Sri Lanka and I got bitten by a mosquito, which caused a bacteria in my body that hid in my implants. And so they had to take implants out, a second reconstruction. But it turned out I had those really bad implants that people have been talking about that create lymphoma. So again, I think the angels were looking after me.
I agree with you on that one.
And so I lost the nipple reconstruction during the second reconstruction.
Right. Did you have that on the first reconstruction?
That's the third surgery. So
right.
Each surgery had a different process in rebuilding. It's not like putting implants in like someone that's getting breast enlargements.
No, because the skin's not there, is it? You have to be able to move.
You have to expand the skin. So for 1 year, you go through the process of expanders being put in.
Wow.
And then I can't remember if it's every 3 weeks or every month you go in and they fill the implants.
So that gently stretches the skin.
Gently stretches it to the point you decide what size you're going to be. And then you decide, and then they go a tiny bit bigger than that. So it gives it some movement.
Yes.
And then once that's done, then you have the expander taken out. Then you have the implant put in.
Wow.
That settles. And then you go back in and you can choose what type of nipple reconstruction you want to have. As, I think you've been told there's, the twisting of the skin. And then the second one, which I was really I really wanted to do, but I was a little bit nervous. I didn't...
What is it? I'm nervous and I'm like getting closer and like keeping my distance.
So I think they take a bit of cartilage from inside the rib. I think it's cartilage, not actually rib.
To give it a textural...
To give it a more firm feel and to make it more solid. And I was worried that I was going to have these pokey little nipples out the whole time, looking like I was on fire every day.
You're like, wait.
It's not like that. I didn't know that at the time. There wasn't enough women that had it done that I could research it. So I chose not to do it. And so then when I had the second reconstruction, I chose not to have the third part of it and have it the nipple reconstruction.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And so where are you at now with...
Well, I sort of had relationships where I never felt that having no nipple was a good thing. It just looked odd. And for me, every time I got out the shower, I sort of covered myself up, and I didn't realise how much it was affecting me psychologically. I really didn't realise. And then, I came across Nikki, who's a cosmetologist, paramedical. I was introduced to this concept of 3D nipples. And I was like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah.
Really. And by this point, after all the surgeries I've had, you've got to understand that pain for me is no longer an option. Like, it's just, I feel pain really badly.
Yeah.
So I was always a little bit frightened of all the needling, and I was really scared, to be honest with you, because I just don't have the tolerance anymore. So when I met Nikki, I was really surprised. I looked at the methodology and thought, that's for me.
Yeah.
And I remember when she first did the first outlining, and I went upstairs. I actually got really teary, to be honest with you, because I thought, oh my God, I'm starting to feel. I know it sounds really weird, but I really didn't feel normal, and I didn't realize how much I didn't feel normal.
Yeah.
Like that whole feeling of wow. And you got to remember, this is 10 years later.
Yeah.
It's a long time to go through that journey and still be going through it,
And not having really realised the depth of the emotion attached to that one body part.
The hurt. And also, I don't think anyone realises, like, everyone just says they're boobs, but they are who we are as women. And I'm not a fake. I don't like things that are fake in me and on me. So I wouldn't choose to have had implants. I wouldn't have chosen this journey. But it is the journey that I'm walking through. And therefore, I feel that, it's better to just, be brave and just, accept that that's the journey that I've been given. And there's a lot worse in life than having to have fake breasts,
Yeah.
So... Yeah, so once the nipples start, I don't know why I'm crying, but it obviously...
That's right, I'm right there with you. I don't have any tissues to offer you.
It shows you...
What
the
difference it can make in your own headspace.
Yeah, and as Nikki's been working on me, and it's been hard because it is painful, and pain for me is just a remembrance of what I've been through, and so I just don't want it in my life. And I got to say that every time when she does it a little bit, I go, oh my God... And it really does look like you've got a nipple. Yeah. And it's like, and I showed a girlfriend of mine who's got a really good visual eye, and she went, oh my God, that's fantastic. And it's, sorry, Pippa. It really is fantastic. And I think for women today, to be able to get to go on that journey and go through the pain and the agony of survival, to be able to get and return back to a semi-normal state, I think is really vital.
Yeah.
I think it's vital for their mental state. And also, no one ever asks the question of how their husbands or boyfriends are feeling, when they come through that. And they want their partner to be as feeling normal and the best they can be of themselves.
Yeah, it's not that they're expecting you to do it, but they want you to feel good in however...
how you feel.
Yeah, and they want you to feel that you're empowered for living and not disempowered.
Yeah, and it is a big thing to go through, but I think that to finish it off with such a beautiful touch is so great. To have people that are willing to take the time to learn, to do a skill that's really an artistic skill is extraordinary. We can only say thank you.
I agree. I know, because I've seen the work, not on you.
Yeah. I put a stop to my breast being shown. There's a limit.
Yeah, but I've seen, what this effect can do, and then hearing it firsthand of what it triggers for you in that, like, that completion in your mindset, and just seeing the emotion, and you empower other people in my mind. So to know that somebody's giving you that something back that you felt like you wanted and you deserved for yourself is just, it's a beautiful part of the journey.
Yeah, it is. I think the sad thing for breast cancer is that there's so much of it around that people go like this, oh, another breast cancer case, oh, another breast cancer, and it's lost a little bit of it is a really serious freaking disease.
Yeah.
And it's still killing women.
Yeah.
And it still maims women. You know? And so anything that we can to make these women feel fabulous about themselves, I think is a really positive thing.
People going through anything, it doesn't just one day switch off.
No.
Like this is 12 years down the track, and you're still putting the final pieces to the puzzle, so to speak.
Yeah, and in actual fact, what people don't understand, once you've had the level of cancer that I had, you have to go in for full tests every single year. You have to have your bloods done regularly. You have to have scans done every year.
How does that affect you mentally?
Oh, look, I think now I'm pretty good. I actually said to my doctor, do you think we're done? You and I are done? He's retiring. And I was like, are you done with me? And he goes, no, I'm passing you on to another doctor.
You're like, I'm done with you.
He sort of said to me that one of the things about having, estrogen-driven cancer, I was unfortunate that it went through my lymph nodes. So, they never stop worrying about you. He had a patient that after 15 years came back and there was a little mother sitting behind her rib cage, and because she had these regular tests, they caught it very, very early. And so just because you've had it doesn't mean you can just stop. And I think that's the key to all of us having control over our own health and ensuring that we keep on top of it.
Get checked.
It's really simple.
I think you've got a really wonderful mindset. Did something just shift for you because then you felt like, okay, this is how I'm choosing to move forward, regardless of this, and this still needs a bit of work here and there, but I'm choosing to stay in this headspace and I'm going to live my life on my terms?
Do you know, I think it's really interesting. I think especially women, sorry guys, but I think especially women, because I'm a woman, I can say this, is that we have an intuition that tells us what's going on in our bodies. And very few of us realise how important that intuition is. And it's really strong, and it constantly tells us when we're not feeling well or that something's wrong. It's whether we choose to listen to ourselves. And what I chose back then was to listen to my body. And even now, if I get tired, I actually go to bed and I sleep.
Yeah.
Whereas before I'd push through and pretend to be the life of the party. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I am still the life of the party sometimes.
I know she is. Sooner in action.
One of the things that happens is all these people and methods and come out of the woodwork. You can't imagine what gets sent to you and what people buy you and it's all from a very nice place.
Can you tell me the funniest one?
This is actually disgusting and I'm going to share it. Because
I love
it's that bad, I'm going to share it. So
we've all got one friend.
A really prominent person in Sydney, and I'm not going to mention names, called me up when they found out that I was sick and said, you have to come and meet this person with me. They're going to change your journey. At that point, you're so desperate to stay alive. You want to live.
Yeah.
I had really young kids. And I went, okay. And I trusted her as a person to not take me to some voodoo sort of character. And so I went, and I went along and I sat in this room. I wasn't the only one in the room, but I was actually granted a private sitting with this particular person. And he came from America and he taught people how to drink their own urine for their own health. And I swear to God.
Each to their own, no judgment.
I swear to God, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I have no idea.
So he was teaching you how to do it.
What the benefits were of drinking.
Oh, okay. I thought they were doing a demonstration.
No, I think that my mouth was down here. I was so shocked at what I was listening to. I was so shocked, and it didn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
It just, and I don't judge anyone that thinks urine therapy is a good thing. Please, everyone to their own.
Yeah.
But my gut was telling me this wasn't for me.
You got us something else.
It was going, you know what my gut was saying? Run, girl, run!
And just run
as fast as you can.
Yeah. And again, like there's so many different treatments that, are right for some people, not right for others. But knowing you as a person, the way I do and how professional and just how nicely put together, that would have been a shock to your system to hear someone telling you
to drink my
to
own
do.
urine.
Yeah.
It was. I'm cancer free. I'm going to stay cancer free.
I love
that. So I'm not even, my life is all about eating well now. I exercise. I drive people mad with the food that I constantly put. Why having sugar in that? Do you need sugar?
That's right. I'll come round for dinner.
Yeah. So, I try not to. I could probably drink a little bit less. I think that everyone should drink less. But I'm terribly social. But I pick my poisons, and I also want to enjoy life. I think what's the point in fighting to get through life and then not enjoying it? I mean, really.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you for sharing your journey with us, and I think it's really a remarkable one and an inspiring one, and I'm grateful to have you in my life.
I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining us.
See you.
Thanks for joining this special episode of Brilliant Brains and Beautiful Minds. For all the information, head over to www.beautybossbusiness.com. See you next time.